with some disdain. Crusaders really, the idea was that Crusaders are very fixated on like making this a fun place for people to visit. I mean, they part of their money comes from travel and these starliners and stuff like that. So the idea was that it's sort of a bit of a hub. Like they want it to be a family-friendly like travel destination, but you can kind of pick up ships that can take you to different areas and stuff like that. Which, if you go back to the old page for the Genesis Starliner, you get a sense of that sort of kind of airport, starport type thing, which is really fun. Now, for those of you who have been frequenting the PU or as well reading the news updates, you will know that despite all this sort of attempt to make this a very family-friendly environment, Crusader's been having a bit of a crime problem recently. They have been suffering from an outlaw pack that's known as the Nine Tails, who have recently moved in the area and have been causing some chaos. And that was the article I mentioned earlier, talking about the crime stats, was about Crusader basically kind of fudging the crime stats to make it sound not as bad as it was, and all the political fallout because of that. And just to throw out, I mean, like I said, we'll hopefully dive into this in a little more thoroughly in a later episode. But the moons of Crusader are Selen, Daymar, and Yela, are named after the three main characters of the 24th century, children's story called A Gift for Baba. And if you're a subscriber out there, you can actually read this story in the last batch of jump points we've been doing. Will actually wrote them up, and so they're there to read, and they're super fun. So I just want to give that a quick shout out. So moving along, we have the Aaron Halo, which is the asteroid belt to separate us a bit. And next we have ArcCorp. And so ArcCorp is an interesting one. This is another planet that sort of went through some changes. The original, pitch for it was that sort of Coruscant type planet where it's like just one massive megacity type thing, but we sort of walked that back a bit. It was initially described as like every square inch of it had been developed and stuff like that, but now we're sort of sticking it to land masses because there's sort of sciencey stuff.
Yes, I have 11 minutes left
stuff like that
on my memory card, so we can finish this.
Everything.
Finish this part one.
Anyway, but still got the same vibe, and it's the thing I really love about it. It's got that almost cyberpunky urban megacity type feel to it, which is really cool. But ArcCorp as a company is basically, like I mentioned earlier, it's just a conglomerate. It's just a megacorp in sort of the truest definition of the word that just absorbs other companies. It is the blob. I'll say it again. But like, if you've ever done research in sort of like massive corporations in the real world, and you see sort of like, oh, this one company owns these 150 different products and stuff like that, it can be it's very weird. And that was the type of thing that we were sort of going for with them, was that their sort of business is absorbing other businesses. But in keeping with that mentality, that's why they sort of turn this planet into a massive business and production park. They probably provide incentives and stuff like that to try and lure companies to sort of base their operations out of here and stuff like that. And one of the ideas was that in its construction, or when they were sort of initially assessing the planet and starting to plan out how they were going to build on it, that they had been inspired by the Xi'an factory worlds, which were sort of this idea that the Xi'an designate worlds for function. Like they've gotten to the point where they're like, this planet is going to be a production world, and this planet is going to be an agricultural world, and stuff, and they stick to it. Like, it's not a mishmash. They will just zone planets to serve specific functions. And so that was sort of the idea with this, was that maybe that the creators who were building it were sort of inspired by that idea of like they wanted to make a business world. The more cynical people tend to believe that the reason why they're doing it is not out of some interesting alien sort of environmental theory approach, but actually that they're just using it as a way to bring companies in so they can keep an eye on them and figure out if there's somebody that they would like to absorb. So it's one of the two. So a little background of actually ArcCorp itself. The company itself actually started out as an exploration consortium back in the 27th century, which is pretty awesome. And after several sort of failed ventures, they ended up using their sort of remaining assets to transition into acquiring mining rights for recently discovered planets. And that actually turned out to be sort of the smart move, and became much more profitable, and positioned them to basically absorb their first company, which was a terraforming outfit that they had been working with called BCK. And so from there, they basically became a mining / terraforming consortium, and now you're talking huge money. And but it was actually once they snagged a company called Novalight that developed fusion engines, that's what's the thing that basically they actually became known for, was the development of these sort of massive industrial fusion engines. All right, so our final planet in the system is Microtech, and if you have a look here before we zoom in on it, you can see that it's sort of positioned on the edge of the green zone. And unfortunately for them, though, they actually had a terraforming malfunction when they were doing sort of minimal terraforming on the planet, and ended up creating sort of like unnaturally dense clouds on the planet, which dropped the temperature. So while the planet was habitable, it became tremendously cold. But that wasn't actually a problem for Microtech. The company is a sort of, obviously it's a huge company because they bought a planet, but they created the glass technology most ubiquitously known for, the Moby glass, so the thing that literally everybody has, and is the sort of key to their personal management. They're the ones who made it. So needless to say, they are making bank. So
I'm learning a lot myself to watch this. So actually we've got 2 minutes left of this video and 7 minutes left on the memory card. So let's watch this finish.
Kind of in a similar sense to ArcCorp, one of the things that they wanted to do was to create a sort of a tech haven, if you will, sort of like a mecca for technological ingenuity, cutting edge research, all that type of stuff, like just a big think tank. I mean, unfortunately, the temperature's so prohibitively cold that they have to live in sort of dome, enclosures and stuff like that. It's too cold to sort of live outside, exposed to the cold, which creates an interesting social dynamic, because basically a lot of people with cabin fever, but it's a lot of money. Like, that's the thing. It's like ArcCorp, but ArcCorp has that sort of, as I said, sort of cyberpunky, Blade Runner-y type feel to it, whereas this is, a business haven that is flush with cash. So Silicon Valley in a ski chalet, sealed off from the world. That's kind of the flavor for that thing. So it should be very interesting once we get there. It should be really fun. So that's it for this episode of Lore Maker's Guide to the Galaxy. Again, this was just sort of a broad overview of the Stanton system. As I mentioned before, we want to do significantly deeper dives into the various planets and their moons and stations and stuff like that. So we'll keep you posted as we did that. And as always, I'd like to thank all of our subscribers for their support in creating this additional community engagement content like this, and Around the Verse, and Bug Smashers, and all the other shows that we do. And of course, a huge thank you to all our backers, because without you, we just wouldn't be here. So that's it. I'm Dave Haddock, and I will see you next time. Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up,
and this is Chris. That is Chris Roberts.
Please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.
And we have a part 2, but we're out of space on my memory card. Okay, it's not a part 2. The part 2 will maybe come later, but that's the Palace system. We can do it, but I had to stop the video because I need to empty my memory card, but we can do the search. I'm not sure. This maybe this palace could be this. Palace, I think it's this. But we look at that when I had empty my memory cards. We got 4 minutes left. And who's talking? It's me. It's me talking. John Olsen. I'm a Dennis, old Dennis YouTuber. And this was 7 p.m. in the evening. The day after Christmas. And this is my bowl for my Christmas cookies. I have more, but I need to empty my memory card. I have a lot of Christmas cookies. They taste very good. And I have 2 bags more here. Called brown Christmas cookies. But they are open. I have a lot more. I have a lot more. I have biscuits. And I got some salt-free licorice. This brown stuff we eat in Denmark. That's candy. Danish Nordic candy. It's called salty licorice. This one I really like. It's called road signs. It's road signs called sign salty licorice. Yes, skilte is signs. Skilte licorice is signs licorice, salty licorice. I like them, but we're not going to eat that. But my stomach cannot eat it. But we take some Christmas cookies. But I have one empty. Oops. That was my food from yesterday in my sink. Yes, I need to dishwash. But I have one empty. I will save for stamps. I have some old stamps. They're not worth much, but I think this will be a good one. If I buy a lot of old stamps, just random, it could be like this. So I will save this. So I not throw it out. Yes, we have 2 minutes left. I just like to get a little bit more. It's day after Christmas. And we have a lot of Christmas cookies. So just take few. That was not few. But that was many years ago. I buy this stamps. I did buy it online. It's not worth much, but they are a bit old. And I actually have not looked at all, but I spent many $100. I have not looked for that 7 years. I bought it 8 years ago. Yes, I have it here. But the light is not really. Yes, I have a lot of stamps here. Like in this. Yes, but I have 2 minutes left. Like this. Okay, I have saved this just for stamps too. I don't know. Yes, I have. Yes, like this. I put a lot of stamps inside here. Actually, I did buy it like this, second-hand, 20 kroner. That's $4. But I have many thousand here. This here. I have not looked at that for 4 years. Yes, like this. I buy second-hand. A lot of stamp. And actually, this was a gift from a kid called Welcome. I will actually use, but I have this is something I got too. Yes, there's a stamp, but we're out of space. I have all this, but I not really look at it because there's many years. I have lots of bags, many thousand. Yes, all here. Yes, like this, many thousand. But it's 8 years ago, like this. I have not looked at all. Yes, but I'm out of space on my hard drive and I will empty my memory cards. Thanks for watching. I will record more. I just need to empty my memory cards and cut